Got You Covered, a true real estate podcast. We are an office of realtors that managed to learn from the best with the worst teaching techniques. However, we survived with stories and lessons to tell. The goal is to help skip the pitfalls while enjoying the laughs and lessons learned. So no matter the real estate woe, we got you covered. And I'm your host, Virginia Ann, and today we have Kristi Crane.
Hi.
Kristi is running all of the property management that, just the recap of that Steve left at the office for us to learn about. And she started managing over 400 properties that we've then been selling some of those properties. Yes. And so, again, we've kind of had to learn everything backwards. And so today we thought we would share the
landlord
tips and tricks. So what I was going to start with on becoming a landlord and some things that I've learned the hard way of that you need like a really good paper trail and a great foundation. Yes. Because what we've been doing is dad and his friends would kind of buy something. It's a little bit of yours, a little bit of mine. Like, oh, I'm at a max of debt to income, so I'm going to get Kristi to buy this house with me, or I'm going to make an LLC and we'll both buy it and we'll use like joint credit. And all these things created all of these entities, which would be fine, except for your entity also needs to have paperwork. And so
it has to exist.
Yeah, it needs to exist. It would be really nice if these are the things that you should just keep in a file and have. So when you first go buy like your first investment property, you're like, I'm doing it. Okay, well, before you even go pick out the house so you can make an offer on it and everything, go ahead and meet with an accountant because you want and an attorney, or you can even get them on LegalZoom, but you need to have an entity. You don't want to put it in your own name. You do want to be like put it in an LLC for liability purposes. I'm not being a lawyer. I'm just giving you tips. But and then with that LLC, you want the same one with the IRS. And then you want the same for your bank account. So you got to get like all three of those. You need your paperwork to match your IRS and the bank. Like yes. Those are the three that will have a deed. And then when you buy it, that deed's going to match. But what we've had is like, R&B investments or Frankie and Steve. Well, the thing about that is like, if it says Frankie and Steve, then it just makes one a co-owner. But if it's an entity, then it's a lot easier for their entity to pass than it is their name. Yes. Like, so you really want to create this for whoever you're giving it to behind you to not have to probate and jump through all the steps and do all the hard way. So the easiest. And like one other random small fact is that some people do say name your entity, like not your name. So if Virginia Ann Properties LLC is actually not the best, because if I get sued, it's real easy to find out what I own. You just type in my name.
Or who you are.
So, that is why you have random, like you'll see Salt Jr. or like, we see all kinds of different things. And a lot of times they're like letters put together or whatever else. Yes. But those are good to have. And then don't go brand everything with it. Like if you're in a small town, don't be like, I named my entity, I'm trying to think of some of the creative ones. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and then like
LLC.
Yeah, LLC. And then that's your company too. So those are just the like main things that you want to have a tight file and have it ready to go. So then when you go open up the bank account, everything else, it's all in the same place. It's all in the same entity. Like, and don't create 10 of them. Like, don't make one for you and Kristi and one for you and this person and one. Like, your ownership in multiple entities can just be a percentage, but that can all be owned by John Doe investments. John Doe doesn't have to have John Doe and Kristi, John Doe and
Right.
Billy Bob. Like, you can just have yours and then have co-ownerships if you want to do co-ownerships. But still just keep that one veil would be
Yes.
the easiest way to do it, I think.
Yes. And you've learned.
And
She has learned.
yeah, we have figured it out and yelled at banks and or where you're like, just give me the money, like, or
Well,
I don't know. I tried to take a cashier's check to pay off a loan yesterday, and they were like, actually, you need to set up an account. And I was like, why would I set up an account for someone who's passed to pay off the man who's passed loan? Like, what? She's like, well, we can't accept a check from an estate. I was like, you have my executor paperwork. It is a cashier's check. So anyway, she called people and figured it out, and we were able to pay it off. But it's just, it's tricky sometimes. And if you have this paperwork, it's a lot easier.
Yes. Prepare yourself up front.
Yeah. But also is that we're hindsight coming into investments where it's like, okay, do we want to keep these? Do we want to sell them, improve them, or what? But a lot of people are at the opportunity of where you're shopping. So that's where Kristi and I like to daydream and think, man, what if this one is going to be awesome? Or what if, and it is really fun. Like when you don't know, you'll pull up to a house and I mean.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's great. And sometimes you're like, what is this?
Yeah. There was one with a dog in the front yard and we were like, oh my God, what in the world?
Whose house is that?
And then we pulled up who owns it. And it's like Steve Raffaelli, which was awesome because one, he didn't take his daughter's lawyer advice and he left it in his name. So it was real easy to see who. But at the same token, it was also like, well, at least we can fix that, but and upgrade the property. But yeah, there's all kinds of shenanigans that
It's fun.
that we
Lots of
see. But if you were going to sell me an investment property, like something I want to rent, and you do always want, like, say your mortgage, even if you put more money down, my system is just to like try to make a little bit more, but not extravagant. Like they're like piggy banks. You're not really making a ton of money off of them. It's
Especially
not
up front.
Yeah. I mean, it's just for 30 years down the road. Then that's where right now what they're doing is while I'm working and like or making income is instead of giving that income to the government and paying taxes, these are all helping lower my taxes. So what I would have to pay in versus what by having this investment, I'm not seeing like cash from it. And it is a lot of work, but one day it'll hopefully be paid off. And then I will have income from it when I'm like needing to pay for ridiculous medicines and things that when you get old and hips and things that I got to have my hip fund. So they're piggy banks and they're saving you money. But at the same, if you could just like walk into one today, what would you tell me to buy today?
Well, and you have to make sure like your mortgage payment and taxes and insurance, you need to make sure that you're making more than those costs because otherwise it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And it can be just a little bit at first.
Yeah.
Because you'll pay off the mortgage more down the road and
you can refinance them too down the road. So like if you are having to buy when there's a high interest rate, like I refinanced mine and then I was making $300 more from the tenant, but it's really just refinance.
Yes. But I would make sure you look at those numbers. That's why you talk to a CPA and
even your realtor can plug. Like we have there's all kinds of apps online of where you're kind of plugging. And your realtor is your key point because they're going to be able to tell you, look for a realtor like us that does both, so we can tell you what we're leasing things for.
Yes.
Like what price per square foot this area is leasing for, because it's still
Yes.
kind of the same model of
As buying
Yeah.
and selling a home.
yeah, is it, and there's still just certain like houses in, for instance, like by the park and everything, they're just older houses. So they're not renting for as more unless they've been updated. So
Yeah.
we can help you on this update. Tenants like this update, they don't really care. I personally, of what in a backwards way, I've noticed leases faster, I would say is 2 bathrooms. Like they're not
Yes.
the 1 bathroom's the hardest,
Yes.
or 1.5
I would
bath.
say, yeah. Unless it's like a 2-1, then you're really not going to need
Yeah.
more than a 1 bathroom sometimes.
And then in like duplexes versus houses, again, I've come at it a different way in that, being in real estate, I feel like that one duplex sold quick,
Yes.
but the houses we can improve and sell for more.
Yes.
But
And a lot of tenants call and they're looking for a house instead of a duplex, where you can hear sometimes through the walls unless it's built.
yeah.
Because we have some that you can't hear anything from the neighbors.
Yeah. There was like one's dad, I had a Great Dane and he wouldn't let me live in it.
Yeah.
Because the dog, he was
Mhm.
like, it's too nice. But
But I will say your dad was smart and has helped us because he's bought investment properties throughout Texarkana. So we have a range and know prices of what's renting for what, because he has them everywhere.
yeah. If somebody was going to give it away, he was going to have to take it. He couldn't do it.
We've
He
learned
just
a lot.
couldn't do it. And I'm the same way. I mean,
You like 'em.
I still, not all of them. I now like at least like kind of exchange them, which we'll have an episode on, but because there's still some that it's exciting when you get 30,000 equity in a house.
Yeah.
Like it's real hard. I try to tell people and they won't listen to me. They're like, they'll think like, oh, she's just in sales. But for me, it's like, no, I'm not in sales. Like I really am.
You're
would
helping
say-
them and would
And I feel like I'm in, I don't know, I'm in this spot where I don't want to spend my money, but I like I don't want any more. But I also see that I'm like, oh my God, somebody should buy that. Like,
yeah.
that is a steal.
Yeah.
And so,
Or she'll buy it.
yeah, that's how I bought my house. I did. I was like, this is 3% interest. Da 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 da. Like you know.
And
So
some of
I
them
sent
you
it to
can
like
take
2
over.
clients, and they just didn't see it. And I was like, John, we're gonna have to buy it. Like this same house is $1,200 more a month. Like this is insanity. And then I called a friend this week because I saw up the street it was being advertised to rent a house for, I think it was like $5,000.
Yes.
And I called my other friend and I was like, is that actually like crazy? I mean,
I thought it
and
was.
I did too for a second. And then I was like, can you get like, because she's a lender. So I was like, get out the financial calculator. I'd cheat. I used to know how to do it. But I was like, well, you just do this. $499. Let's say you get it FHA, put 3.5 down. Like your payment on that in taxes and everything, because when I bought my house, not only did I get the 3% interest, but I bought it at a good price.
Yes.
And so I am like 100,000 less than this other one's brand new construction. So that brand new construction, like, and the interest rate when you combine the two, 48.50 is that mortgage.
Oh.
So and that's like most people in that range are going to put more down.
Yeah.
But like, if you're building a lot of them, and for a builder to take the risk, I was like, that's just the price of what's happened
Yeah.
to our market. Like
Yeah.
that's just where
Rental prices went
Yeah.
up.
And that's exactly it too, is like for investors, you sometimes get a little bit where it is better to rent for some, like if you're having a bad time,
Mhm.
like absolutely rent. And they're usually forced to put 20% down. But if somebody's going to rent their own home, it is going to be a little bit inflated price because they probably bought it FHA or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes we all want to knee jerk to prices, but like,
This is it.
yeah,
This is
some of
really
it's
how
just
it is.
what is happening right now that we need to get interest rates lower.
Yes. I went from not doing any rentals to learning them and diving in deep.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome to 400.
so I would really get processes in place before you buy your investment property. So how you want to do applications. I would recommend investing in getting a application. What do you call it?
Yeah, the
Like a
credit
company,
report and then the
yes.
background checks. And that's safety wise. I really like
Yes.
the criminal history.
Yes.
Not to judge, but if you do have a multiplex
Yeah.
and
Watch who
you
you're
do
putting
have
beside.
knowledge of
Yeah.
like very violent offenders, that's also safety wise.
Yes.
We've been doing since COVID the applications before
Yes.
showing.
Yes.
And I like that too because I just think it is in real estate, scary just to meet somebody at a house.
Yes.
And so to protect yourself and
Yeah.
protect if you end up
Know
having
who you're
staff
working
and
with.
stuff. And then for clean outs and stuff, we've saved a fortune
Oh yeah.
on
Paper, people can lie.
Yeah.
On these, they really can't lie because it's pulling by their social security number and
Yeah.
all of that. And you get to see if they owe money already because you don't want to put somebody in the rental that already owes to apartment complexes or
Yeah. It'll show
another
like their
investor.
debtors, and it'll show too like what their payments are on certain credit cards that they have right now. So it's like,
Are they paying their bills?
Yeah, it's not just here's my paycheck or I can bring in
Right.
cash. Like,
Yes.
You know.
And I think that's our turnover is less because we're
Yeah.
putting in better tenants than what paper brought. Seems like.
and I do like for us, we're able to be like that we are family owned and that we're able to still, I don't know, not have so much red tape that we do double
Yeah.
deposits so we could
Yes.
help. Like we get that you can see sometimes too on those reports, there's just a lot of medical bills.
Or they messed
And
up when they were
yeah.
young.
Yeah, exactly.
I was that one.
Or divorce
Yeah.
or whichever else. But
Yes.
it's telling on circumstances, but it helps you get more realistic of like, I got some champagne taste, but we have another option that is more affordable that
And they're serious then.
yeah.
Because they're
And the
putting a
double
chunk.
deposit or
Yeah.
or have a co-signer or something else.
Yes.
Like you can get creative, but
Still keep you covered.
yeah, but still be smart.
Yes. Well, and it even helped with trash outs because before.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
We were
go-
like, we just needed a burn pit, like
where
in a
we pulling up
trailer.
to?
I mean, yeah, or just like, oh my gosh, yeah. Because there was one that was like, are they like you could stare at the picture for hours just wondering. One, there were so many toothbrushes, and I found that really funny because it was disgusting. But I was like, do you just brush your teeth? Like, and then have fly strips on the wall and have eaten food? Like, what is going on with your teeth? Like, I've
had clean
never
teeth.
seen so many toothbrushes. And I've never met the tenant, so I don't know. And then there was like a game, a Monopoly board, and like a Whataburger, and then like a lamp by the wall. And then
Are they still living there?
like, no, it was just, I mean, it's like to just walk up and leave all this stuff. You could tell like mattresses were moved, things were moved.
Yeah.
But like, did you stop and have a like, let's play Monopoly, then we'll pack some more. Like, what's
brush
going
our
on
teeth.
here? And you could tell it wasn't kids was the best part because I was like, if the kids are playing Monopoly, parents are packing. And we also knew they didn't have kids. So,
But we're seeing that slow down.
Oh yeah, we haven't had that. Like in the
No.
last, I can't remember one that I have like gone to and been just horrified of. I mean, I did get fleas recently, but
Well, and I think it was with our weather too. And if the neighbors have dogs, I mean, there's a
mm,
lot of things that can.
no, there's a lot of Steve. So I will say also in
I
this of
wasn't going to
like
say it.
learning from like dad had the biggest heart and you do really have to like rein it in on.
Yes.
I would always be like, give to charity. You're not a charity. It is hard when you feel like you have this house, like especially if something's paid for or something, to not want to help. That I get it, but like when we were going through files, like there was one that I was like, this rent is so cheap in like Pleasant Grove, which is usually a little bit more.
Yes.
And because they're newer, and I was just like, this is what happened here. Like, is this
They
a
got to go
family
up.
member? Is this a what? And so I start looking and I realize like it's a single mom. And that in that year, she was a single mom, and dad grew up with a single mom who his dad passed when he was young. And he was actually like 18 and had to help raise the siblings. And he watched his mom start real estate and just provide and get things done. But at the same, he just always catches a break for a single mom. Like that was like his weakness and his Achilles heel. And I then went on Facebook and saw she'd been married like 2 years. So I was like, she's not a single mom anymore and she getting rent like nothing.
We can go up.
And the second we called to go up, it was like she knew. She knew she would get away with that rent for so long, that it happens. It's no big deal. But I
Which
do
is
think
another tip. We make sure that they make at least 3 times
yeah.
the rent
Yeah.
for their income.
Cause yeah.
So, I don't think we were before.
But yeah, dad, he too. We had the one with all the dogs, the 10 dogs. The one on Ashley. And like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she always had really good. And he like, I don't know, one of his friends got a judgment.
But she had a man also.
No, that one I think was she had a car check coming and the lawyer called from California.
Oh,
And
that's right.
and so
That's
it
right.
was coming. It was coming.
It was always coming.
It was
but it
always
didn't come.
coming. And one of dad's friends did get like a lot in a car accident. So he really like thought that was happening. And so needless to say, those checks never came in. And when you do have somebody that's like, I mean, I get it. Like if somebody's house burns down, there is an insurance claim coming.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out something and protect yourself and talk to a lawyer before you do favors because they can go bad fast.
But if we would have probably been scheduling walkthroughs with these people every month or
like
quarter
we have such a volume, it's hard to now start in, but for anybody investing, like that's a great procedure to start off right at the bat is like, hey, we stop by and bring you your air filter. Like, and then drop off 4, like just here are these 4, I'll shoot you a call next month to change it and then just go quarterly. Like, but do check in. Yeah.
And get ahead of it instead of them moving out and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did all this damage. Well, you would have known if you would have been in there every so often. And most tenants will let you, I mean, they're happy to let you come and change their filter because those can be expensive.
So that's like win-win for everybody.
Yeah, buy in bulk. Change them all.
Send a friend though. If you go yourself, they'll be like, oh, and can you do the light bulb? And I've really been wanting to update these blinds. I heard the duplex next door has prettier blinds. Can I get those? So like send someone. Pay a high schooler to go do it. Take some pictures. So you don't get in too deep. Little tidbits, but those save you a lot.
Yes. Money.
And time.
Yes.
And light bulbs.
Yes.
Which are really getting expensive. Well, I feel like we could go on and on for like
Yes.
days on this. So that's why there will be more episodes. These are just like off the bat, offhand, kind of, if, it's always like the question, if you looked back, how would you have done it? Like,
We'll think of more.
yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
pop in our heads.
There's lots of ways I would have done it. But at the same token, I just think these are some of the off the bat preventable pitfalls that are, we want to share what we've learned and help
it's
you
fun.
fix it on the front end.
Thanks for joining us. If you're interested in more content like this, make sure to follow us online. We got you covered. Hosted by Raffaele Realtors. Produced by McLean Media. Music by Jody Crump at Studio C. Thanks for listening to Got You Covered, a true real estate podcast.